Okay, hello everybody. This is Kyle here. I wanted to talk to you today about removing toxicity from your life. Toxic people, toxic things that are dragging you down, making you unhappy. How to separate yourself from them and why you should separate yourself from them. Because it's a very important thing. It's an important thing to separate yourself from the toxic elements in your life. So, what makes something toxic? Start with that. Um, you can generalize the toxicity, at least from a person, is sort of an overwhelmingly negative aura, you could say, around them. And I don't mean in any physical sense of them actually having an aura, but I mean in terms of the emotions that they are producing. They are being angry, hateful, and overly sad. So, if you are encountering a person who is, let's just start with a sort of a positive, nice person, when you talk to them, they will be open minded, they will laugh, they will keep it lighthearted, they'll listen to you, and they'll find associations with you and try to support you. And it can be a mutual learning experience. You can talk about stories, you can talk about movies, music, all these different things that can connect you to somebody else. So this is a very positive type of person. It's somebody who, let's say you start talking to a stranger and they, say, "Oh, how are you doing?" "Oh, I'm pretty good. I'm having a good time. I'm having a good day today. How's your day going?" And then, you have a conversation with them. That's a positive person. So what is a toxic person or a negative person? Is somebody you talk to them and they're immediately like, "Why are you talking to me? Like, you're an idiot. I hate you. Go away." Or they get angry at you. They're putting all of these super negative emotions on you, and to the point where it's really difficult to talk to this person because they are doing everything they can to drive you away, really. Um, and I think there's a pretty big difference between a positive person and a negative person. Is that I think a positive person wants you to also be happy. They want you to not feel bad about yourself, not hate yourself, not get down about your life or anything like that. But a positive person wants you to be happy as well. They want to share with you, they want to share their positivity with you. A negative person, on the other hand, wants to share their negativity with you. They want you to feel as bad as they feel inside. I hate my life, I hate the world, I think everything sucks. I need you to think that too. I need you to also feel that way because they feel threatened when you feel happy. If you're talking to a very, very pessimistic, cynical, nihilistic, unhappy person and you are happy, they see that as like an assault on them. They see that as like I need to stop this person from being happy because it's like a threat to them. And honestly, it's not that different with positive people and negative people. If you're talking to a negative person, there's also something threatening about that. There's something threatening about their hostility and their hatred. There's something where you kind of want to be like, back off. Like, I don't want to get too close to you. I don't want to get too much in contact with you because I don't want you to make my life worse. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling joy. I don't want to get too close to you because I know that you're going to make me feel bad. Well, the negative person feels the same way about positive people. Is that they they don't want to get too close to that positivity because they're very comfortable in their unhappiness. You know, I experienced parts of my life where I was very depressed. I had a pretty bad time with depression, particularly in my early 20s. And, often I didn't want people to be happy. I thought that, human beings shouldn't be happy. There's too much bad in the world. Existence is so painful, you can't be happy or anything like that. And that was my internal philosophy. So if somebody was happy, then I would basically, if people were laughing and having fun, I would want them to stop laughing and having fun. I would want to be like, okay, but have you thought about poverty and war and all this stuff? And yeah, see, that's the thing with being a mature human being, is you still have to grapple with the bad things that are going on in life. You don't want to be a naive, innocent individual who ignores, the bad things in life, but you still have to maintain the sense of positivity within you in order to progress through the world and get through existence, because you can't let the bad stuff overwhelm you and make you unable to live and unable to have a happy life. You need to have a happy life, and the way to do that is by being positive. So with toxic individuals, I've been thinking about this lately because I have a friend who, in many ways, he's been a very good guy. He's been a very good friend to me. He's accepted me through a lot of stuff, and we have a lot of stuff in common, and we talk about stuff. And he talks about like intellectual stuff that I like to talk about. You know, I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to like politics and history and philosophy and things like that, and he'll sometimes talk with me about that. But the problem that he has is that, particularly when it gets to politics, he gets very angry. He gets very, very angry, and he gets very nihilistic, very cynical. And not only that, but he starts like physically like shaking, and he looks like he looks like he's about to cry when he's talking, which is kind of sad. But he feels this like overwhelmingly negative, hateful stuff, and he's made comments like he wants to like murder politicians and things like this. So he has a very, very negative view of the world. So talking with this individual, I like opening up and I like having a conversation. And the thing with a conversation is it's a mutual exchange of information. I have information I give to you, you have information you give to me. And we talk back and forth, and we keep things calm, and we keep things light, and maybe interject a joke, or maybe laugh a little bit. But the idea is that you build rapport by connecting with somebody else and having a good conversation. That's not what a lot of conversations are with a toxic person. With a toxic person, the conversation ends up being, I'm going to tell you how much of an idiot you are. I'm going to tell you that I'm right and you're wrong, and you're an idiot and I'm smart. I know all the information, you know nothing. And it's also kind of a cult-like mentality where you think, I've found the secret to life, I've found all the secret information, you don't know, I know, you don't know, I'm the wise man, you're the idiot, you learn from me, there's no mutual exchange here. And it's an incredibly toxic point of view, and it's even worse when your point of view is wrong. You know, think of the flat earther. I've heard the slur thrown around by flat earthers, globetards. People who believe in a global earth are globetards. So they have a major sense of superiority and narcissism over their point of view, and they think everybody else is an idiot, but they're smart. That's a toxic conversation. A toxic conversation is one where you don't respect what somebody knows. You think, oh, I know all the information, you know nothing, so I'm just going to berate you until you believe what I believe. And it can happen on any like political side. I'm not going to add that toxicity at all to you as well. Like I'm not going to add that and say, some political thing is right and some is wrong. That's not the point. The point is that you are able to have a mutual exchange of information that's not angry, that's not hateful, that's not super depressed, that's not overly cynical, but you're working on building connections, you're working on lifting people up. So I've noticed this with politics sometimes, is when people get overly fixated on the things that they can't control, or the things that are going wrong in society, or pointing out how horrible and awful things are. But these people tend to really not be involved in local politics. They tend to not be doing anything, really. They're very, I'm really into politics, but I don't do anything except I just go on the computer and rant to people about it. These people who are really, really into politics, I'm really into politics, but I don't actually do anything about it. These people are obviously fixated on a negative mindset where they're not doing anything. They're not building connections. They're not going out. They're not trying to make a better world out there. They're just interested in proving a point and proving how smart they are, which is toxic. It's extremely selfish. And I think in life, in general, I've kind of hit on the idea that your life has to be a gift to other people. You have to give to other people through everything, through every conversation, every interaction with somebody else. It's a gift. You're providing them with information, you're helping them, you're giving some value to their life. You're not taking away from them. You're not making them feel worse, making them feel like they want to hate themselves, making them feel like they're shit and they're stupid. You're looking for what they have and what value they have, and then trying to add to it and trying to give something to it. And you do the same with yourself. It's like you try and give value to yourself. You try to improve your own life. You try and do things that build yourself up rather than tear yourself down, and are masochistic. You get away from the self-mutilation and the sort of suicidal inner sense of like, I want to destroy myself, and instead you want to build yourself up and make yourself grow and expand and connect with people and learn new things and be healthier mentally and physically. That is a positive mindset, which took me a really, really long time to get to, and I'm still, I'm still working on it. Like, I'm not, I'm a work in progress, just like everybody else. There's a John Mayer song, I'm in repair. We're all kind of in repair. We're all kind of trying to figure it out, but you have to not bring down people around you. And the thing with political people, why they can be very toxic, is there's something about politics where politics is about control. It's about control of the world. If you think that the president or the prime minister, the EU, the UN, China, whatever, the political hierarchy there, the higher up you go, the more control you have over society. So politics is about power in many ways. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because power can be used for good or power can be used for bad. In U.S. history, there was slavery, which is power being used to control and enslave people, and that's bad. But there was also power to reverse that, the civil rights movement, and laws codified into the system to ensure equal rights for all people. That's good. If you think about a gun, a gun can be used for bad, a gun can be used for good. A gun can be used to stop somebody who's doing something bad. You can stop somebody if somebody is a rapist or a criminal or hurting somebody, you can use a gun to stop them. So a gun can be used for good or bad. Power can be used for good or bad. With great power comes great responsibility, basically. So politics is about power. So if you're getting involved in politics, you have to make sure that you are using your power for good. And how do you do that? Is by having honest conversations with as many people as you can in a healthy, mutually beneficial way, reading as much as you can. I would say paying attention to experts. For instance, if you're talking about politics, then talk to political scientists who have PhDs. And I'm not saying they're always correct, but I would say get a good idea of what they think at the very least, so that you can make a healthier decision about it. But yeah, it's like you can't get overly stuck in that toxic mindset. You can't be overly stuck in that political mindset of, every moment I have to talk about how bad the world is and how horrible it is, and the world's becoming degenerate, or capitalism is destroying everything. And yeah, you can criticize, you can say like, I'm not a big fan of this way that society is going, but it's a big thing. We live in a global world of 8 billion people, and it's a very complicated thing. So have some humility, and try to be a little bit more calm and happy when you talk to other people, and look for the good and build people up. And don't try and get involved with like identity politics in terms of, this is who I am. I'm a liberal, I'm a conservative, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, blah, 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 blah. Tribal stuff. The problem with tribal stuff is it cuts you off from connecting with other people. Oh, I'm a Democrat, I can't talk to them because they're a Republican, or vice versa. I'm a Republican, I would never talk to a Democrat. It cuts you off from talking to people and sharing information, having a mutual exchange. And as long as it's a calm, mutually helpful conversation, then it's fine. But if you are berating people, then you're not having a conversation. You are just trying to say that you're an idiot and I'm smart. So instead, what you have to have with a political conversation is one where it's calm and you can calmly exchange information and exchange what you think. But you need both people to do that. And that's the problem, is all it takes, let's say you're at a Thanksgiving dinner and you've got 12 people there and they're having a good time. All it takes is the one angry uncle who starts saying, I don't like how blah, 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 blah. And then everybody suddenly, it's like, well, you're not cooperating with the rest of us. So now you have to treat this person like a baby. Treat them with like, are you okay? Are you going to be all right? Okay, let's calm you down. You're being a little angry right now. And then, you have to treat them like a child because they're acting like a child. And that's the element of toxicity there, is that, this person is basically, screaming like a baby for their mother, which, maybe from a Freudian psychological perspective, I don't know, there might be an element of like, politics is you as an isolated, lonely baby trying to get attention from other people around you. You're trying to be like, please pay attention to me, please love me, like that kind of shit, and not good. I don't think that's a good idea. Like, so anyway, how do you deal with toxic people in your life? How do you cut out toxicity? I went on a tangent about politics there, but I'm sure we can all relate to the overly political person. And if you are the overly political person, then please get some help. Like Jordan Peterson says, clean your own room before you go out in the world. Like, get some therapy. There's places you can go for therapy. Go on 7cups.com. Talk to a free listener or something. Just talk about your issues, because you're using politics as a way to, it's a band-aid to deal with like the inner hurt you feel. And I know that sounds kind of wimpy and lame or whatever, but that is what's going on. You feel like, oh, I feel bad about my life, so I'm going to attack, whatever, right? So deal with your internal issues, deal with them, and then go out and be political, right? And I wish more people would do that, but they very rarely do. People are often quite disappointing. So, how to deal with toxic people in your life. I think one issue that we have is that there's an issue of codependency where we often get wrapped up with somebody else who's very toxic, and we end up in this kind of cycle where we're attached to this one person who is kind of a bad influence in our life. Think of like a girl who's dating a guy who's a pretty toxic guy, not very good, or a guy that's dating a girl who's just a very toxic girl, right? So you're getting overly involved, and you seem to like, you hate them and you hate the way they feel, but you always come back to them, and there's a sense of safety there. And that is a toxic relationship, and it's a codependent relationship. And honestly, I've kind of been there in my own life, in my own past relationship experience of just being overly attached with somebody where you're both, either they're being very negative or you're being very negative, and then you're both being negative, but you can't seem to like take a step back from each other and get some clarity. And there's something I've noticed is that there's almost an internal feeling from like a mindful meditation sort of point of view of when you're overly toxic, it's all very confusing and your head's kind of like spinning, and it's like really tough to deal with, like, and there's no clarity there. There's no like calmness and sort of freshness to your perspective. You're just overly involved with this individual where everything's very frantic and hectic and anxious. But by taking a step back from this individual who is toxic, you can reevaluate and you can connect with people who are a little bit more positive and a little bit more clear-headed and can maybe talk to you about some issues. And, you can get stuff off your chest, which is why therapy is so good. You can talk to people and they can give you good responses to help you out in the future, right? So, basically, you want to take a step back from anybody that's toxic. You want to, if you honestly see this person in your life and you think, okay, I think this is a toxic individual, basically your responsibility is to take a step back from them. Whatever relationship you have with them, wherever you feel like I am really close to this person, you have to instead take a step back and be like, you know what? I don't want to be that close to this person. I want to take a step back. And there's two reasons you do that. One is for yourself, and the other is for them. So the reason that you do it for yourself, the reason that you take a step back for yourself, is because clearly, you're not enjoying being around this person. They make you feel bad, they make you feel angry, they make you have low self-esteem, they want you to hate the world, you feel worse about everything by spending time with them. So if you want to feel happier, you want to feel better internally, take a step back from this person, take a breather, and, see the sights and talk to other people. There's many ways for you to talk to other people, and by interacting with other people, you'll kind of calm down and have a more like holistic sense of yourself, of where you can have nice little conversations with people. The other reason you do it is for them, because basically this person, by you by you constantly being there for them and being sort of a garbage can for their negative emotions, they won't stop. They have no incentive to stop being toxic. They have no incentive to stop doing what they're doing if you keep validating them and if you keep saying to them, basically, your behavior is totally fine. Like, if you keep doing that to them, then they're going to keep doing it, And it's unfortunate in my own life, like, I was that toxic person, really unfortunately, and it screwed up a lot of relationships I had where I was that bad person who, I felt the validation of somebody talking to me, but I would swamp them with the negative emotions, and then they'd feel bad, and then they'd want to get away from me because I'm not enjoyable and likable to be around, but they'd also feel guilt or attached to me for whatever reason, and they themselves, felt like they needed to be with me, even though I kept, I wasn't giving them anything positive, I was only giving them negative feelings. So it's unfortunate, but you can move beyond it, and I think most people do, and I think it's right to do it, and I think it's good for everybody to do it, so I think you should do it. Get beyond these negative emotions. So basically, if you have a toxic person in your life, like I said, take a step back from them. Seriously, if they're your best friend, well, think about, like, do you want your best friend, the person you're closest to in the world, to be this person who's so overwhelming with negativity? Do you want that? Why do you need them to be your best friend? You can still be friends with them. You can still talk to them. You can still be good to them. But maybe the best way to do that is by taking a step back and being like, I can't be that emotionally close to you because I don't like you, and I don't want you to infect me with your negativity. I want to live a freer life, I want to enjoy myself. So basically, if they're your best friend, then maybe they shouldn't be your best friend. Find other friends. Maybe you don't need a best friend. Maybe you can have many friends. Maybe you can have many connections. But they don't have to be your best friend. You can take a step back. If they're your partner, it's a little bit tougher because you probably live with them. It's tougher in that case, and unfortunately, sometimes it does lead to breaking up because, if they are really that negative of an individual and that toxic, then you staying with them can validate them. And like I said, this is something that was in my own personal experience. I believe, I had a breakup with, an ex-girlfriend because I was the toxic negative person, and her being with me validated all of that, and, but she needed to get away from me, and my toxic negativity and all that, and my nihilistic view, and my limited view. I think that was best for her, and I think sometimes in relationships, honestly, it is better to get away from, if this person is extremely negative, get away from them. But if it's not that extreme, you don't have to jump to that, but you can take a step back. Don't talk to them as much. Take a step back and set boundaries. If they are, like in my case with my friend who is extremely negative politically, I have to set the boundary being like, I'm not talking to you about politics. We're not talking about politics. No. Not until you can learn to have a mature, mutual exchange of information. I'm not talking to you about politics. You have to set that boundary with them, or else they're never going to learn, and they're going to constantly try and overwhelm your space and go over the boundary. They're going to keep doing that unless you say, I'm not talking to you about politics. I'm not, if you're being negative, I'm going to do something else. We can, I'll help you if you want. I can help you to live a happier life. I can help you build you up, but I'm not going to be a emotional garbage can for you. I'm not going to be, just somebody you can vent at without any hope of changing your mind. Because you can think of people as like generators. A generator just generates stuff. It just keeps spewing out more stuff. So you're either generating positivity, you're either bringing positivity constantly to the world around you, constantly bringing as much positivity as you can, or you are a negative generator and constantly bringing pain and hatred and depression and sadness and all this stuff. And the negative people, they just don't stop. They just don't stop doing it. There's no bottom to it. They just keep going because they probably don't feel very happy doing it, but they've got a thing in their brain where that's controlling the generator, and they want to keep generating negative stuff. So I found setting boundaries is good, and honestly, just being honest and being like, you're very angry, you're very depressed, you're kind of bumming me out. Why don't you try and look on the bright side of things? You're being annoying. You're not being very fun to be with. Stop moping. Stop whining. At some point it's kind of like tough love, but I know in my life I wish I got more tough love in terms of people just telling me what they thought about me to my face, because if nobody tells you you're doing something wrong, a lot of people just don't understand that they are doing something wrong. So they need people to say to them, like, dude, you're pretty depressing. Like, look on the bright side. You're annoying to deal with. People don't like talking to you. If more people got that accurate information, then they'd actually wake up. But instead, most people just stop hanging out with them, stop talking to them, or get away from them, because people generally don't like conflict. But to be a good friend and a good partner, I do think you have to be honest about, like, okay, when you talk about this, you're being pretty negative, and I don't like that. And then if they keep going on and on, you're like, okay, I can see that you don't care and you're not gonna change, so I'm going to step back, but I'm telling you why I'm doing that, so that you know, and you can keep that in mind, that I'm moving away from you because you are negative and you're not looking for solutions and you're trying to bring me down. That's why I'm pulling away from you, and I want you to know that, so that you're aware of what I'm actually doing and why I'm doing it. And I think that's a pretty healthy way to see things. Honestly, keeping this perspective in mind, I feel much, much happier. And I know, like, with my friend, he was my best friend for a long time, but now he's not going to be. Simply because, I'm on a path of being a happier person who brings more to the world, tries to make the world a better place, and tries to make my life better and the people's lives around me better. And so if I'm overly attached to this one negative person, they're going to infiltrate my whole life. Like, if I'm overly attached to this one negative person, then all these other people I talk to, I'm going to constantly be like, oh, did you know this person? Or it's like, yeah, life's okay, I guess, like, I'm feeling pretty bad, like, just because of this one person. When, if you just pulled away from them, took a breather, and connected more with the people who are nice to you and respectful of you, then when you do come back to this person, you can give them more understanding and patience and help them out. But if you're overly attached to this one person, then, it's going to affect everything. So that's basically my thoughts on toxicity and positivity and trying to keep a positive mindset. So hopefully that helped you a little bit. I know these thoughts have really, really helped me in the past, and I feel 10 times better, maybe even 100 times better than I felt in the past in terms of being overly negative. So I'm happy, and I hope you're happy too, and I hope that helped. So have a good day.